Dear friends, as I prepare to put some thoughts together, I also reflected on the readings for this coming week. John chapter 12 verses 20 to 33 and Jeremiah 31 verses 31 through 34. And I think that this week, two amazing and well-known biblical themes come together. In the Jeremiah reading, the focus is on Jeremiah's prophecy of the new covenant in which God's law is written on the heart. The New Testament reading from John's Gospel speaks about the seed that falls to ground and dies. Unless a seed is willing to do this, it cannot bear fruit. It cannot become what it was created to be, and it cannot take on the new life that was within. These readings challenge us, both personally and as a church community, to release our old life and our old ways in order to die so that God can perform surgery on our hearts and communal life. And friends, if we accept the challenge, we will find a new life, a new way of being, and a new relationship with God, with the world and with ourselves, waiting for us on the other side. How exciting can that be? John 12 verses 20 through 33 is a strange passage. It starts with a group of Greek people trying to organize a meeting with Jesus. We're not told whether they are Greek-speaking Jews or Gentiles taking an interest in Judaism. Either way, there's a language barrier here. And Jesus, as far as we know, only spoke Aramaic and worshipped in Hebrew. Philip and Andrew have Greek names and presumably acted as interpreters here. Have you ever experienced being in a strange country, a country other than yours, unable to speak the language or the languages that they speak there? It is frustrating and disconcerting. Communication difficulties occur even between people who speak the same language. I think, my friends, this challenges us to find ways in which we learn to speak to each other. Can our faith teach us to listen? Are we prepared to let go of cherished position, to listen respectfully to each other, to lose our life in order to enter more fully into God's everlasting love? The Gospel also uses this event to illustrate the truth that the Pharisees expressed with fear in verse 19, and I quote, "Look, the whole world is following him." Yet, as Jesus proclaims in verse 32, before he can really win all people for God's grace, Christ must be lifted up, crucified. Jesus explains that this lifting up will be a clarion call to draw all people, including Gentiles like us, to himself. John, my friends, may be reminding us that this message is meant for others. This gospel message is meant for others, especially those who seem different from us and are seeking. I often wonder if we tend to think of glory in terms of conquest, domination, and winning. But this is not how God seeks glory. Rather, my friends, for God, glory is all about restoration, about healing, and about bringing the entire cosmos into loving unity in Christ. That's why the cross is a symbol of glory. The glory that wins the world over with what? With love. As a seed that fell to the ground and died, Jesus gave up his life in love. but the result was a new, transformed life for the universe. What a liberating way to think of dying. As Gail R. O'Day points out in the fourth Gospel, much fruit is the metaphor for the life of the community of faith. Through Jesus' death and resurrection, a new community is created in which lives the power of His saving presence. The Greeks and the world they represent will see Jesus through His death and the community which His death creates. The lifting of the Son on the cross will draw all people, including the Greeks, and friends, you and I, to God's reconciling and transforming presence and action in the world. As Jesus gives His life in faithful participation in God's creation of a new community, disciples like you and I give our life and become part of the much fruit produced from the single grain. Within and through the new community, Christ continues to be glorified and thereby draws a broken and violent world into a new resurrection reality. As I journey through Lent, I'm challenged to answer this question: what do I need to release? And what do we collectively need to release so that others may be drawn to Christ? Grace and peace to you, my friends.